Explosive+Revenge+Laughter+Reader's breast is also a Breast+Absolutely not holding back. If I can keep you alive until the end of the year, it will count as your joy and sorrow. Stand there for me. Linchun was unexpectedly reborn 20 years ago. I once again saw the beautiful school flower who slandered me for sneaking a peek at the women's bathhouse and the colluding teaching director. In the previous life, he was slandered and spread rumors, impoverished, and became a street mouse. Everyone shouted and beat him, and at the age of 40, he died in a rented house. This life has been reborn for 98 years, and enemies are right in front of me. I can't bear it for a moment. Pick up the bricks and open the ladles for the teaching director. Kick off the front teeth of the school flower spreading rumors. All those who spread rumors and slander themselves. Don't spare a single one. Revenge on the spot. Principal. Big silly spring. What are you doing? Teaching director. Big silly spring. You dare to hit the teacher. School flower Zhao Lingling. Wrong. I was wrong. I dare not. I was really wrong. Teacher. Dismissal. He must be fired. Successful revenge, but directly expelled from school. Linchun. Fire me. I climbed over the wall back to school, and even if I beat the school flower, I would transfer to another school. Let her miss the college entrance examination. Leave school. Linchun went directly to the sea for business. Taking advantage of 20 years of social experience, I unexpectedly met Sun Yun, the future richest woman in the province. Accompanying the female richest woman in the early stages of entrepreneurship, she walked through difficult times step by step. Directly ascend to the throne of the richest man. Returning to my hometown with honor, I once again see the school flower and the teacher who once slandered me. Old pig and dog, are you also worthy to live? Chapter 1. Reborn, can I still be bullied by you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Big silly spring. What are you doing? Teaching director Huang Sudong, a sparse head of Mediterranean soft hair has been soaked in sweat, slightly flustered and scattered around his forehead. The whole person ran wildly around the national flag platform. Behind the scenes. Linchun is wearing a school uniform and holding a brick in her hand. Crazy pursuit with gritted teeth. His expression was filled with towering anger, as if he was irreconcilable. It's all his mother reborn. Can I still be bullied by you guys? Stand there for me. Let out a roar. He chased, he fled. The comical and thrilling scene instantly attracted a group of students who had not yet finished the flag-raising ceremony to watch. Everyone was chattering and discussing, and no one dared to step forward. It's the first time anyone has seen a senior high school student dare to chase after the teaching director and beat them up when asked to do a self-criticism at the flag-raising ceremony on Monday. It's too exciting. Huang Sudong never expected that one day he would be chased so badly by students. Desperately trying to regain my authority as a teacher. You can feel the murderous aura behind it. Wipe the flying bricks on your shoulders. He was immediately frightened and panicked, afraid to stop, shouting and running. Ah! Linchun. You learned to sneak a peek at your female classmate taking a shower at a young age. You little rascal. I still want to hit the teacher, you. Dismissal. Must be fired. Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, a brick behind him whizzed past his ear and landed heavily on the national flag platform. Instantly split into pieces. The splashing fragments of bricks hit Huang Sudong's body, causing a scream. Instantly frightened, Huang Sudong howled uncontrollably, and the insane king of Qin circled around the pillar. Even if one shoe is lost while running. The crotch is almost falling to the knee. But he didn't dare to stop at all. My glasses were hanging crookedly on my face, and I was too scared to reach out and help. Everyone is in a hurry to cry. I can only shout desperately at the students watching. What are you looking at? Hurry up and ask the principal to come out. This little rascal is going to rebel. Ah! Bang! Huang Sudong didn't finish speaking when suddenly he let out a scream. The students who were watching the excitement around were all frightened and shrank back, instantly giving up the 5-meter open space around the national flag stand. I dare not cross the thunder pit at all. Under the watchful gaze of everyone, Linchun smashed a brick onto Huang Sudong's thigh. Watching Huang Sudong fall, he immediately rushed forward like a crazy leopard, picked up the bricks, and threw them at Huang Sudong's head. I'll go fuck you. Designed to frame me, slander me for peeking at the women's bathhouse. I have been ruined by you all my life. 20 whole years. I only found out about your activities before I was reborn, and I died of suffocation in a rented house. Reborn, can I still be bullied by you? Bang! Huang Sudong instinctively tilted his head and smashed the bricks directly onto the cement floor, instantly splitting into pieces. Broken bricks splattered, leaving 3 incisions on Huang Sudong's plump and greasy face, with blood flowing profusely. The corner of my ear was hit by a brick, blood and flesh blurred. The piercing pain instantly scared him to pee, like a fat pig waiting to be slaughtered, screaming and struggling on the ground. I can't understand what Linchun said at all. Ah! Big silly spring. You dare to hit the teacher. Fire. You must be fired, you little rascal. Linchun's right hand, holding the brick, was also shaken and trembling uncontrollably. But as he watched the dog thing that had destroyed his life in the previous life finally fall to the ground, his hatred erupted in an instant. Riding on the back of Huang Sudong, 2 fists swung round, like raindrops rushing towards his head and smashing it down. Let you his mother slander me. Even though you were sneaking a peek at the students in the women's bathhouse taking a shower, I took advantage of you and caught you. Do you his mother slander me? I am reborn once, but can I still be bullied by you? Die for me. Bang! 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 The fist, like a wind and fire wheel, banged against Huang Sudong's head, and the fat and big ears kept making intimate contact between the fist and the concrete floor. In no time, Huang Sudong was beaten to the point of bleeding from his mouth and nose, feeling dizzy and dizzy. Even the shouting became much weaker. Call. Colonel. Chief. Linchun swung his fists like a madman, even though he lost all his strength, he still gritted his teeth and persisted. Just think of the humiliation you suffered in your previous life. The inner hatred will trigger the limits of the body, and the power will constantly emerge. The previous life was also at this time, an important time in the 3 months before the college entrance examination. Surprisingly, I was slandered by Huang Sudong, an old dog who was not worthy of being a role model and was inferior to this pig and dog, for sneaking a peek at the girls taking a shower in the women's bathhouse. A full 20 years of life. It was rewritten from this moment. Voyeurism, pervert, rogue. All the hats and labels are tied to his head, and he is despised wherever he goes. His parents also follow him and cannot lift their heads. They will despise him for a lifetime. He originally had the hope of being admitted to university, but he could only start early in society, work as a laborer, and be poked in the spine by others. No matter where you go, the crime of peeping into the women's bathhouse will inexplicably spread within 3 months. Immediately after, he was fired and cursed by everyone. I can only wander and work part-time, life is better than death. At the age of just over 40, he was sick all over. Finally, the lonely and helpless old man died in the basement rental house. Until the last few days before death, he unexpectedly learned the truth from a female classmate back then. All of this was actually designed by someone he trusts the most. Even Huang Sudong is just a pawn, and all other witnesses were bribed in advance. Just to ruin his life and get him expelled from school. The resentment of Li Linchun for a full 20 years in his previous life. I can't tolerate him to hold back. He himself never expected that after death, he could be reborn back to this flag-raising ceremony 20 years ago. I saw Huang Sudong standing on the national flag platform again, openly slandering him for peeking at the women's bathhouse. I have only experienced a brief moment of confusion. After realizing it, he picked up 2 bricks from the nearby flower bed and headed straight to Huang Sudong to kill them. Revenge on the spot. I can't bear to swallow my anger. Ah! Huang Lao Go, you have ruined my whole life. I will be reborn once again. You go to hell with me. Li Linchun shouted wildly and swung his fists. The appearance of killing with red eyes directly frightened a group of high school students who had never seen the world before, their faces turning pale and trembling with fear. Watching Huang Sudong's struggling movements diminish, he was about to die. The student pile was suddenly squeezed open by a passage. The old principal with gray hair and glasses hurriedly rushed over under the anxious crowd of several girls. Seeing the scene under the national flag stage, I almost lost my breath in anger. Hurriedly yelled out, trembling with fear. Stop it. What are you doing? Teacher Zhang, Teacher Li, go up and hold on to him. As soon as these words were spoken, a group of teachers around them who had long been scared and foolish suddenly realized and rushed forward to tug at Li Linchun, who had gone crazy. Li Linchun's strength had long been vented on Huang Sudong. Without much resistance at all, he was stopped by several teachers who were all around, pulling him to one side. Even more, 2 people came out and helped Huang Sudong, who was bruised with blood and flesh, up. Huang Sudong's face was filled with blood, and his nose and tears mixed together. Seeing the principal in a blur, I immediately let out a scream. Principal! You have to make the decision for me, fire this little rascal. At this moment, Li Linchun was grabbed by several male teachers and struggled to detach. But still gritting his teeth, he went crazy and kicked through the air. Get away from me. Huang Sudong, I'll kill you. Fire me, and I'll kill you too. The principal is such a jerk. The old dog that doesn't distinguish right from wrong. Come on. I have been reborn and have no intention of swallowing my anger. Chapter 2. Laozi's slap is also powerful. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Old Pig and Dog. Upon hearing these words, Principal Wang Delu was instantly enraged and his blood pressure skyrocketed. Almost fell straight to the ground. After realizing it, his hands trembled with anger and he pointed angrily at Li Linchun, who had gone crazy. Which class are you from? How dare you hit the teacher? No matter who is right or wrong, you must respect your teacher and uphold the Tao. You cannot contradict your teacher. Not to mention, you are still abusing your teacher in front of everyone. How can you live up to the teacher's kindness in educating you? The words have just finished. Being beaten into a pig's head, Huang Sudong, with his flesh and blood blurred, burst into tears and threw himself at the principal's feet, hugging his thigh. Principal! This little rascal is lawless. He went to the alley behind the women's bathhouse to sneak a peek at his female classmate taking a shower, and I caught him on the spot. There are still many female students who can testify. Li Linchun, this little rascal must be fired, he must be fired. Wang Delu nodded angrily and spoke out to soothe him. Don't worry, Teacher Huang. The school rules and regulations are strict, and if he dares to do so, he will definitely receive the punishment he deserves. These young children nowadays are too unaware of the consequences. Suddenly, Li Linchun cursed mercilessly without any intention of worrying about the consequences. Old pig dog, are you also worthy of being a principal? No distinction between right and wrong, the truth is unknown. Deciding on a student's lifelong affairs casually is what makes you slander them so casually. Come on, your school rules are strict, and I'm always slapping you hard. Get away from me. I'll give you a slap to wake you up. At first hearing these words, several teachers present also changed their faces greatly, they couldn't believe it. They all cast frightened gazes at Linchun. This student, I'm afraid he's not crazy, is he? The students who were watching also instantly exploded upon hearing these words, and the chattering sounds echoed throughout the entire learning square, with their expressions incredibly brilliant. Students who have always been educated to respect their teachers and values their values, and who have been wrongly accused and unable to speak up. At this moment, I actually feel excited. No one cares if Linchun really sneaks a peek at his female classmate taking a shower, but on the contrary, they all admire him for being so bold. It's okay to dare to hit the teacher in front of everyone. Dare to curse the principal. It's simply unheard of, I've never seen it before. Can students still rebel against teachers? For a moment, there were discussions and murmurs on the national flag square. Wang Delu was so angry that he nodded repeatedly, and his blood pressure had already reached the top of his head. Okay. Teacher Huang took your stolen property and obtained it, but you still don't admit it, do you? Call the police, then call the police. As soon as he spoke this, Huang Sudong, who was howling in sorrow, trembled for an instant, his crying came to an abrupt end, and his eyes visibly became a bit flustered. School, principal, isn't this enough to call the police? How about getting fired directly? Before he could finish speaking, suddenly a girl in school uniform, tied in a ponytail, and with a pretty face rushed out of the crowd. He ran straight to the principal in tears. Principal, my brother must have been confused for a while. Please ask the school to give him another chance. My brother was wrong, he really was wrong. The college entrance examination is about to take place. My brother can get into college, but he still has a bright future. He can't be fired. Wang Delu's brain was swollen with anger. At first sight of the girl who suddenly ran out, I frowned and looked around at the teachers with a puzzled expression. Who is this again? What's going on? As soon as these words were spoken, a male teacher with Linchun beside him quickly spoke up to explain, his face also filled with worries. Principal, they are two siblings, cousins. Linchun's father came to the Zhao family and married Zhao Lingling's aunt, who was close to him. Zhao Lingling is an excellent student, ranking in the top 30 of her stable grade. Linchun is also very good at his studies, and he is one of the top 10 students in his grade. He has also participated in many competitions instead of the school and won many honors. This has never happened before. Is there any misunderstanding inside? We can't be too hasty. They are all good children, and their grades have always been very good. Zhao Lingling cried bitterly, feeling very sad, as if she was really worried about her brother's future. A clean school uniform with a white lace-trimmed shirt inside. Exquisite facial features, beautiful appearance, outstanding temperament. She looks like a well-behaved woman. At this moment, he was also crying and nodding repeatedly, pleading with the principal. Principal, my brother is probably just peeking at a female classmate taking a shower for the first time. Please ask the school to give him another chance. My brother apologized, he really did. The college entrance examination is only 3 months away, he can't be fired. Upon hearing these words, Principal Wang Delu's mind was also in a state of confusion. If the top 10 students in the grade were to be expelled like this, it would indeed deprive the school of a good opportunity to stand out. Being able to have one more admitted student from a top 985 university would be a golden signboard for next year's enrollment promotion. But Linchun's arrogant attitude shows no remorse. Not only did he physically beat up the teaching director in front of all the teachers and students in the school, but he also scolded him as a principal who knows right from wrong and is an old dog. If I don't get fired yet, how will we discipline other students in the future? For a moment, how to handle this matter actually left him in a dilemma. At this moment, several girls suddenly emerged from the crowd and surrounded Zhao Lingling. They all looked angrily at Linchun, who was being held up by the teacher, gritting their teeth. Lingling. Don't speak for that thug, it's not the first time he's been peeking at the back window of the bathhouse. That's it. For the safety of our other female classmates, he must be fired and he should also be admitted to university. When I was in my sophomore year, I always felt like someone was peeking at the window behind the women's bathhouse. Linchun was just a pervert, and had to be fired. Lingling, the child he gave birth to as a son.in.law is not part of your family. Don't call him brother, don't plead for him. At this moment, Zhao Lingling was crying and shaking her head, earnestly pleading with everyone. In front of all the teachers and students in the school, he bowed and apologized to a few people with an extremely sincere attitude, which greatly moved people's hearts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry everyone. I apologize for my brother and he will never sneak a peek at you taking a shower in the future. Please, please teachers and schools, give my brother another chance. Don't fire my brother. He still needs to take the college entrance examination and get into college. He can't ruin his life just because of this small matter. Please, please. Seeing her crying earnestly, everyone shows pity. Not only did those teachers look at each other and hesitate. Even the girls who claimed to have been peeked at on consecutive numbers showed their difficulties and softened their hearts. Okay, Lingling, you're so kind. We'll just look at your face and don't pursue it anymore. Okay, Lingling, if you ask your brother to apologize to us in front of everyone and swear that he won't peek anymore, then we'll let him go. That's right, he must admit his mistake and apologize. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Lingling burst into tears of joy and continued to bow and thank everyone. Without hesitation for a moment, he quickly ran to Linchun with a sincere expression. Brother, just admit your mistake and apologize to everyone. Don't go to the back window of the women's bathhouse to sneak a peek at your female classmates' showers in the future, everyone will forgive you. Just admit it. Seeing this scene, several teachers were also very pleased and couldn't help but praise Zhao Lingling for being well-behaved, sensible, and kind-hearted. The several male teachers who stood up to Linchun breathed a sigh of relief. They all released Linchun. Everyone is looking forward to Linchun being influenced, admitting her mistakes, and actively apologizing. Perhaps there is still room for maneuver. Linchun was let go by several teachers, but her anger remained undiminished. She took a few deep breaths, moved her hands and feet, and walked up to Zhao Lingling. Glancing around at the teachers full of expectant gazes. I glanced again at the several victim girls and a group of classmates who were not far away. Finally, she turned her gaze to Zhao Lingling, who was pitted by the crying person in front of her. My cousin really looks like a pitiful lotus sacred body, and she is held as the school flower by those students. What a satire! Who would have thought that their most trusted cousin was the mastermind behind everything, the initiator? Anger instantly surged to the forehead. I admit your mother. Pop. Without any hesitation, Linchun gritted his teeth and jumped up with all his strength, slapping Zhao Lingling's pleading pretty face. Zhao Lingling's face turned pale after being hit directly, and she fell to the ground with one head down. The scene was in chaos. Screams echoed everywhere. Linchun, on the other hand, completely ignored the others and rushed forward, kicking Zhao Lingling fiercely. Damn it, you're not a good thing either. It's all your calculation. I thanked you for over 20 years in my previous life. It's you who hit. You delivered it to the door by yourself. With one kick, it hit Zhao Lingling's chin directly. Puff. Zhao Lingling had 2 teeth kicked out directly, and a mouthful of blood sprayed out with her teeth. She screamed in pain in place. His eyes were filled with fear, his face colorless, and he crawled back, shouting in panic. Ah! Stop him! Stop this bastard! Fire him! As Li Linchun was about to take action, a group of frightened and scalp-numbing teachers rushed forward and held him down again. The entire flag square is in chaos in an instant. Li Linchun was pressed to the ground with all his hands and feet, gritting his teeth and shouting wildly. "Get away from me! I've been fired, and I'm going to kill you guys who falsify your credentials." Chapter 3. A lifetime debt must be repaid for a lifetime. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Livestock. Livestock. Even if you hit the teacher, you can still hit your sister. He's just a beast. The sudden change directly frightened everyone, causing them to lose 7 souls. Various screams erupted. A few teachers slapped their thighs and cursed, heartbroken. Hate makes my teeth itch. Everyone rushed to control the situation. It was a mess. Li Linchun took action and kicked out Zhao Lingling's 2 front teeth. Everything happens between lightning and flint. Even though the field was crowded with people, no one reacted at all and there was no time to stop it. Puff. Watching Li Linchun, who had gone crazy, fall to the ground again. The other teachers hurriedly and painfully stepped forward to help Zhao Lingling, who had been slapped to the ground. Zhao Lingling's mouth was unclear and she kept spitting blood. Eyes full of fear. A pretty face completely disfigured, with open teeth and missing teeth. He screamed and splashed at Li Linchun, who was pinned to the ground with a ferocious expression on his face, jumping with anger and lacking any image of a well-behaved woman. "Fire him! Fire him! You bastard, dare you hit me! Ah! Fire him!" He secretly watched the women's bathhouse take a shower, dared to hit the teacher, and even hit me. He must be fired. Ah! With Zhao Lingling's silent screams, everything seemed to be in disarray. Principal Wang Delu was so angry that his mind was buzzing. At first glance, Huang Sudong, the education director who had been beaten up, looked completely unrecognizable and flesh-blurred. Take another look at the obedient female school belle who has been kicked out with 2 teeth and her lips blown away. For a moment, I felt my blood pressure beating like a drum, spinning around in circles. If I don't handle it well, I'll end up as the principal. Brain melon seeds bang. Get him to the office. Lock me up. Call parents, be sure to call parents. Under the direction of the principal, several male teachers who were frightened and turned pale dared not relax at all. Suppressing the insane Li Linchun to death, he was sent to the academic affairs office. The other students were also kicked away by the teacher and returned to the classroom. It was even more urgent to arrange for people to take the injured Zhao Lingling and Huang Sudong to the hospital for bandages and treatment of the wounds. The whole school is a mess. In the office building, crazy screams and screams spread all over the 3 floors. All the teachers stood at the entrance of the office, trembling and looking out. Delirious discussions abound. On the 1st floor, the door of the academic affairs office was smashed with a clanging sound, and no one dared to approach. Old pig dog. You don't distinguish right from wrong. Zhao Lingling, what a green tea and white lotus flower. It has harmed me for 20 years, and I am grateful to you. I pretended to be hypocritical and let me admit it. It seems that I was begging for my love. In fact, it's just that his mother slanders me in disguise and makes me remember your love. Huang Lao go. Let me go out. Fuck you guys. If you have the ability, just fire me. Leaving this school, I will still come back and kill you all. Bang. Accompanied by a roar of anger, there was another sound of heavy objects hitting the door, and the movement inside the door only slightly subsided. Wang Delu stood at the staircase on the 3rd floor, sweating profusely. Continuously pulling out tissues to wipe sweat. Trembling with an anxious and urgent voice, he repeatedly slapped the railing with a mournful face. Where are Li Linchun's parents? Hurry up and call me. This little beast is crazy. Bang. Dong. 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 As he was speaking, another crazy sound of smashing came from the office of the Academic Affairs Office on the first floor. All the teachers were frightened and trembling, hurriedly calling to contact the parents of the students. The school has been open for decades. No one has ever seen this posture before. At the same time, in the office of the Academic Affairs Office on the first floor, Linchun held on to the legs of the teaching director's mahogany desk with both hands, exerting all her strength, her veins bulging and her face turning red. Ah! A roar that had been suppressed for over 20 years unleashed the power of the monster. Dong! With a loud bang, the entire office building shook gently. The mahogany desk, weighing several hundred pounds, was overturned in place, as if it had struck a heavy blow in the hearts of all teachers. Released the resentment of over 20 years in the previous life. Linchun also panted heavily and leaned against the overturned mahogany desk, with a high and undulating chest, gritting his teeth. Not yet relieved. Only 2 front teeth, it's a bargain for her. Recalling the many details of the previous life, it was only then that he realized it. Why does Zhao Lingling go to see her every time she changes jobs? And as long as she comes, not long after, the accusation of being falsely accused of voyeurism will spread in the new workplace. Lost my job again. Originally, it was really all planned by my cousin herself. I still foolishly think that my younger sister pleaded for me at school and didn't forget to come back and care about me after getting into college. She often plays with me and treats me to meals, all of which are good for him. The results are all cunning calculations. Previous life. It was not until his death that he met the female classmate who had been criticized for her conscience for more than 20 years at the vegetable market, and confessed everything about that time. One of the girls who just stood up to testify and identify herself. Back then, Zhao Lingling arranged the entire plan to slander herself. All witnesses have a handle that Zhao Lingling is holding on to. She arranged to slander Linchun. The reason is simply that his father entered the Zhao family and was looked down upon by the Zhao family. But unfortunately, his grades are much better than Zhao Lingling. She's jealous and anxious. That's why he came up with such a vicious trick that would ruin his entire life. Linchun gritted his teeth in anger, unable to forgive. Rebirth, you must take this breath out. In this life, I have a memory advantage for the next 20 years and know all the opportunities to make a fortune in the industry. Even if fired, even if unable to take the college entrance exam. That will definitely make one stand out. Seize the trend of the next 20 years. Even if you can't become the richest person on your own, you can definitely become a wealthy person on your own. It can definitely make them all look up and regret for life. But before that, he can't take the college entrance examination, and Zhao Lingling can't even think about it. A lifetime's grudge must be repaid with a lifetime's worth. No one can try to resolve it. Just as Linchun was pondering how to go out, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a large, shiny glass window on one side, wiped spotless. Looking up, the 2 people who were beaten up at the school gate were all taken to taxis and headed straight to the hospital. At first sight of this scene, Linchun was instantly out of breath. Damn it, do you still want to go to the hospital for treatment? Did I agree? After speaking, he immediately lowered his head and searched for the messy office, and at a glance, he saw the cast iron bull ornament that was originally placed on the table. Just as all the teachers in the office building had just breathed a sigh of relief. Click. With a loud bang, the glass shattered. Linchun stepped on the overturned mahogany desk and jumped out of the window. Just run outside the gate. The taxi chasing straight to the hospital, not even ready to spare those 2 dog things for a moment. Upstairs. Wang Delu just returned to the principal's office and had a sip of tea. You can hear the sound and take a look downstairs. The figure of Linchun rushing out of the school gate instantly frightened him, causing him to splash out all the tea. Raising his hand trembling, he pointed towards the outside of the school. Chase, chase, chase. Make a phone call. Let Li Linchun and Zhao Lingling's parents not come to school anymore, just go to the hospital. What a sin. After speaking, Wang Delu was completely sweating profusely, ready to cry without tears. Hurriedly pulling a group of teachers downstairs to chase after them. Go straight to the hospital. Chapter 4. Little Red Boy, Nong Xiaowusan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ah. Li Linchun chased after the school gate fiercely, but could only watch the taxi run away helplessly. Unwillingly shout out. Grass. But he didn't intend to just give up the opportunity for revenge. They have all been reborn. If you swallow this tone, it will be too. His mother suffocated. He recognized it, considering the reputation of the school, the principal and those teachers would definitely not dare to report to the police. I still have time to catch up with the hospital. Even if they don't kill, we must leave them with unforgettable shadows for life. He had seen this kind of thing too much in his previous life, and the school, in order not to expand its influence, firmly believed that they dared not report it to the police. I have plenty of opportunities for revenge. Li Linchun turned around to take a look. The teachers in the school have already chased out shouting and screaming. A large number of people make a great deal of power. He is not a naturally powerful Li Yuanba, so his 2 fists are difficult to match with his 4 hands. I don't want to be held down by those teachers again and taken back to school. Delaying one's own revenge. Thinking of this, he quickly searched the nearby map in his mind. In his previous life, he worked part-time in this city for over 20 years. Delivering takeout, delivering express delivery, carrying large bags. I've done everything before. I dare not say that every street and alley can be clearly touched, it is also comparable to the existence of a living map. The best route to get rid of the pursuers was found in the first place. Think for a moment. Taking advantage of the group of teachers not catching up, he plunged straight into the small alley next to the school and quickly shuttled back and forth. It's just a few intersections. He has already left all the teachers chasing him behind clean and tidy. Immediately seek direction and head straight to the hospital. Puff. In order to take a shortcut, Li Linchun directly stepped on the coal pile and jumped onto the courtyard wall of a factory building, then climbed into the living area of the factory. Prepare to pass through here. He has also worked in this factory in his previous life, and it is a garment factory with many female workers. He also came in to carry bags. It's quite a coincidence. Coincidentally, after being slandered for sneaking a peek at the women's bathhouse and being expelled from school, his uncle, Zhao Lingling's father, pretended to find someone to arrange for him to come to the place. A seedling who could have been admitted to a university. Struggling to be framed by Zhao Lingling and her daughter, she was arranged to become a laborer carrying large bags in a female garment factory. A lifetime of aimlessness. Now it seems that it was designed by their father and daughter. This state-owned factory has long been disconnected from the market. In no more than 2 years, the company will be restructured and dissolved, and all employees will be forced to lay off. Arrange him to come here. Pure malicious intentions. So when he returned to this factory, Li Linchun couldn't help but curse. The family surname Zhao has no good people. Including my indiscriminate Voldemort mother. And that cowardly father who has been a son-in-law for a lifetime. My own son was wronged by others. If they don't believe me, it's okay. They even helped Zhao Lingling and her daughter beat and scold me, belittling me. I can't forgive anyone who ruined my life with my own hands. Li Linchun muttered and cursed while impatiently pushing away the sheets and covers hanging in the dormitory downstairs. The pleasant smell of laundry detergent brushed past his face, but it couldn't lift his newly reborn anger. This place is the living area of the women's dormitory. Male workers are not allowed to come. So in his previous life, he rarely came and was not very familiar with it. And he only worked here for 6 months. Later, the charge of peeping into a female classmate's bath was spread by Zhao Lingling in private, and the female workers were afraid of him and despised him. And the female workshop director who treated him well also left this state-owned factory to start a business overseas. There are no good people for him anymore. He simply resigned. Just as Linchun was recalling the various hardships brought by the Zhao family in the previous life and strengthening his hatred and anger levels in his mind. Suddenly, there was a pause in the footsteps. I heard a splashing sound of water in my ears. In an instant, my heart lifted to my throat. Subconsciously, I got goosebumps all over and swallowed my saliva hard. This place is the living area of the female worker dormitory. Female workers usually wash their clothes, hair, and even take showers here after work. The sudden sound of splashing water. I won't be so unlucky myself. I happen to see a female worker off duty taking a shower here, right? Fake voyeurism, accidentally turned into real. Linchun silently recited a prayer in her heart. Carefully bending down to avoid the drying beds, covers, and clothes, I wanted to sneak under the other wall and climb over it. There are 2 more alleys to go out. You can walk to the street where the hospital is located. Don't really bump into a female worker taking a shower at this critical moment. After finally being reborn, although I couldn't get rid of the accusation of being slandered for sneaking a peek at a female classmate taking a shower in school, don't add any extra weight. That will only make the already bad situation worse. However, the more you fear, the more you encounter something. Linchun just walked out of the last row of clotheslines. In an instant, my eyes were wide open. He couldn't tolerate his reaction at all, and at a glance, he saw the bright figure next to the outdoor pool downstairs of the female employee dormitory. Instantly froze in place. Is it her? Under his gaze, a long-haired female worker was bending over and crouching under the faucet. Let the water wash the foam on your head. On the upper body was a pure white sleeveless button-up shirt, with 2 slender lotus root arms that were dazzling white. Beneath the loose shirt, one still couldn't help but outline that pair of graceful figures that were about to emerge. Long black and thick hair, wet and sticking to the neck, naturally drooping. The beautiful female worker tightly closed her eyes and gently rubbed her wet hair with both hands. She was blinded by foam and dared not open it. White suit pants, made of high-quality fabric. Perfectly accentuating the peach-like upturned buttocks and slender legs. Stepping on a pair of hollow-out high heels. It can be seen that he was preparing to go out and was in a hurry, so he hurriedly washed his hair under the outdoor pool where he usually washes. I never expected someone to jump in and witness everything at this moment. Linchun saw clearly the person's stunning face. In my heart, I breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay, I'm dressed. I didn't expect to see Manager Sun in advance after being reborn. Although the person in front of him has a stunning appearance and a top-notch physique, he has no ulterior motives in his heart. Instead, he is more grateful. Because this is the only person who treated him well in the previous life. Sun Yun, the female workshop director of a state-owned garment factory. A typical millennial with big waves of red lips and successful career women. Linchun, who was forced to drop out of school at the beginning, came to the factory and was arranged to work in a familiar environment by the female director. Seeing that he is young and has bought clothes for him, I am very concerned about him. It is even better to advise him not to waste his talent in learning, to go out and learn a skill, and to be a skilled worker is better than being a laborer carrying a big bag. Unfortunately, 3 months later, Sun Yun decided to resign from the state-owned factory and go into business overseas. And he was depressed and gave up on himself because he was dropped out of school. I didn't choose to leave with her and missed the opportunity to start a business with her later on. But the good news is, when Linchun's previous life was not as good as his previous life, he also saw it in online news. Sun Yun, who left the state-owned factory, not only built her own clothing brand, but also became a leading cosmetics business leader in the south. Once ascended to the throne of the richest woman in the province. However, at that time, the beautiful workshop director who had taken good care of him was already towering over him, but he was deeply mired in the mud and lived the most miserable life. There is naturally no intersection between the two. In this life, if given the opportunity, Linchun would really like to resign and go into business with this beautiful manager. Also break into a world. With more than 20 years of experience before her rebirth, Sun Yun's career can definitely take it to the next level, and she can also have better development opportunities. But now, Linchun has no intention of staying. The most important thing is to go to the hospital and seek revenge against that pair of sluts. Moreover, he doesn't want Sun Yun to find him here watching her wash her hair. It's not good to be treated as a thug. It's not too late to come back to the factory and join us after dealing with family matters in a few days. Upon realizing this, Linchun immediately searched for an excellent route to climb over the wall. Taking advantage of the fact that Sun Yun has not yet opened his eyes. Run quickly, sprinting and rushing towards the several piles of tattered cloth piled up by the wall. Scratch. 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 With agile dexterity and acceleration, stepping on a cloth bag and flipping directly onto the wall. However, with such a loud gesture, the sound naturally frightened Sun Yun, who was washing her hair. In an instant, the curses that sounded like a lark echoed directly through the entire backyard of the living area. Nong seems to be some loser, little red guy. Watching the old lady wash her hair. Don't run away if you have the ability. I skinned Nong, can you believe it? Linchun heard Sun Yun's voice still as hot and fiery as in the previous life, and her scalp tightened, causing her neck to shrink. I felt a wave of fear in my heart. Fortunately, I was not discovered. Otherwise, this life would probably have been even more difficult. Daring not to stay, I quickly flipped over and jumped off the courtyard wall. I found a direction and headed straight to the hospital amidst Sun Yun's unchanging curses. Chapter 5. Whether you can live until the end of the year is considered a blessing or a blessing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Move away, move away. Nurse. Nurse. Linchun ran through the streets and alleys all the way to the entrance of the hospital. Watching an ambulance pushing a blood-covered emergency patient into the room, I was sure I had found the right place. This is the closest and largest hospital to the school. Those two dog things were specifically delivered here. Shanghai Third People's Hospital. That's it. He looked around and wanted to find a suitable weapon. Suddenly, I saw a wooden stick with a handle next to the plastic chair in the waiting area, and my eyes lit up. I rushed over and picked up the wooden stick, then rushed into the emergency department of the hospital. He just left with his front foot. A woman supported the old man who was using the restroom and walked back, staring at the empty chair, instantly dumbfounded. Dad, where's the crutch? On the other side. Linchun had already rushed into the diagnosis and treatment area with a stick in hand. With a ferocious spirit, he gritted his teeth and searched around for the figures of those two dog creatures. I searched around but didn't notice. Damn it, where are people? I'm walking on a small path, shouldn't I be so slow? Did you waste time getting rid of those teachers? Just as he passed by the corridor on the second floor at a loss. Suddenly, 4 panicked figures rushed into the lobby downstairs, and a middle-aged woman dressed in luxury grabbed a passing nurse with a crying voice. Nurse, which ward is my daughter in? Her name is Zhao Lingling. Just sent over from number 1 middle school, how is she doing? As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man wearing a jacket and a white shirt inside started shouting angrily. Ask your hospital leaders to come out and meet me. If my daughter has any ups and downs, I won't end up with you all. Do you know which department I belong to? Behind the couple, a pair of worried and disheveled faces trembled and remained silent. But his gaze was also filled with worry. The nurse was holding a medicine tray in her hand, but she was not intimidated by the scene. After all, I have been working in the hospital for a long time, and my family has seen all kinds of strange medical troubles, including one or two wealthy and powerful ones. Immediately speak helplessly. You mean the teacher and students sent from number 1 middle school, right? Trauma, it has been disinfected and hemostatic. I am currently in room 308 on the 3rd floor and I am hospitalized for that girl. She has lost 2 teeth and torn her lips. I need to arrange surgical sutures. Sigh. As soon as the nurse finished speaking, the lady in front of her was frightened and her face turned pale. Her heels softened and she fell backwards on the spot. A few people were in a hurry, so they quickly helped her. The noblewoman paused for a moment and immediately burst into tears. My Lingling. A good face, it's embarrassing. How will she go out in the future? Li, your little bastard son has done such a despicable thing. My girl has some ups and downs, and I can't finish it with him. On the side, Zhao Gang vigorously supported his wife. Upon hearing the nurse's words, she gritted her teeth in hatred and looked angrily at the 2 people behind her, trembling with anger. What a good thing your bastard son did. Bang. Before he could finish speaking, a loud noise suddenly came from the corridor on the 2nd floor. I don't know who knocked over the stainless steel trash can. Next up. Linchun held a crutch in his hand and ran towards the stairs. The sturdy figure of 308 fell into the eyes of the 4 people downstairs. Just flashed by. Zhao Gang, however, was panicked and shouted loudly, stamping his feet in a hurry, and immediately recognized the owner with his back. That little beast has gone up to the 3rd floor. Isn't he locked up at school? Immediately, he supported his wife and cursed loudly at the 2 people behind him. What are you waiting for? Chase. With a scolding, the couple, who seemed slightly humble, suddenly realized and quickly ran upstairs to chase after them. Noble women are also anxious. Ignoring dizziness, he grabbed his husband Zhao Gang and chased upstairs. The nurse exclaimed in secret that it was not good when she saw the situation. Hurry out of the building and call for someone. Security department. Security department. Someone went up to the 3rd floor and caused trouble. Hurry up and get someone here. In an instant, the entire hospital became chaotic. On the other side, Linchun didn't panic at all when he saw his uncle, aunt, and cowardly parents chasing after him to the hospital. Sooner or later. At first, I heard the nurse say the ward number. Immediately head straight to the destination, furious. 3rd floor, 308. Woo-woo, Teacher Huang, it hurts so much. My teeth, my teeth. Let them pick up my teeth, pick them up. Zhao Lingling's speech was leaking air, she cried loudly, her lips were all cracked, and her crimson wound still oozed blood through the gauze. My entire chin has swollen into a pig's head. Sitting on the hospital bed, crying and shaking his legs vigorously. Tears pattered down. She never expected that as long as Linchun admitted to sneaking a peek at a girl taking a shower, she would definitely be fired. Moreover, Linchun will remember her kindness for a lifetime. I will be able to step on him forever. But which step went wrong, allowing Linchun to directly see through her plan and publicly kick out her 2 front teeth? It's simply insane. It really hurts. Huang Sudong's head was covered in gauze, comically revealing only 2 dark blue eye sockets. At this moment, I was even more angry and gritted my teeth. Chewing on something and cursing vaguely. Animal. This little animal. You dare to bite me back. Zhao Lingling, wait. When your parents arrive, the principal and teachers will make the decision for us. You directly identified him on the spot and secretly watched you girls take a shower. Make sure to dismiss him. As he spoke, he fiercely took another bite of the lunch that the accompanying teacher had bought for him, which was used to cushion his stomach. I was chased several times and even pinned to the ground and beaten. I really beat him hungry. Zhao Lingling was crying profusely, and listening to Huang Sudong's words, she cried even more sadly. My gaze was filled with vicious resentment. Poo-poo leaked air, still not delaying her vicious curse. Wu-wu, dismiss him, we must dismiss him. I will have all the witnesses testify. He can never take off the hat of a voyeur and a pervert in his lifetime. I want him to never lift his head. Huang Sudong just took out a roasted pig trotter from a plastic bag and prepared to cushion his stomach. Upon hearing Zhao Lingling's harsh words spoken with a leaky mouth, my spine instinctively cooled and goosebumps began to rise. I looked at Zhao Lingling, who was difficult to conceal at the moment, with some fear. For a moment it was hard to recognize whether the young girl in front of me was still laughing and frolicking in the bathhouse. How could this heart be a bit more cunning than that poisonous woman? Thinking of this, he instinctively handed out the roasted pig trotters in his hand, feeling guilty. Lingling, why don't you have some cushion first? Zhao Lingling is crying and opening her mouth to ventilate her wound. Seeing the roasted pig trotters handed over by Huang Sudong, I burst into tears. I have no teeth. Bang! She was crying and feeling sad when suddenly the door of the ward was kicked open with a strong kick. Suddenly, the two inside trembled with fear. The crying came to an abrupt end. The two of them instinctively turned their heads to look at the door, tears still in their eyes. When they saw the intruder, their brains froze and they didn't even react. Linchun was panting heavily and clenched the crutch with his right hand, gritting his teeth. Seeing the two people in the ward, I immediately laughed in anger. Bang! As he turned around and closed the ward door, he pulled up a chair to lock the door, while nodding gritted his teeth. Huang Lao Go, do you also deserve to eat pig hooves? His mother, I can let you live to the end of the year, it's all joy and sorrow. Zhao Lianhua, you should die for me too. This stick is for you. As soon as the words fell, two pig-like screams echoed through the hospital room in an instant. Ah! Why is he here? Chapter 6. I was wrong, I dare not. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'll go fuck you. Bang! Linchun kicked with a big foot, firmly kicking Huang Sudong's unresponsive big face. Bang! With a loud bang, Huang Sudong fell off the hospital bed with all his feet in the air. He's in pain, his eyes are full of stars. I just felt my entire nose numb, as if it had completely disappeared from my face. Warm nosebleeds overflowed all over my face, making it impossible for him to distinguish between directions. The mouth was even blocked by the newly bitten pig's trotters. I can't even shout out loud. At first sight of this terrifying scene, Zhao Lingling was so frightened that she hugged her head and screamed in agony. Ah! Linchun was about to take a step forward and continue working on Huang Sudong. Suddenly, my ears were buzzing with the shout of the female demon next to me, and I couldn't breathe a single moment. I lifted my stick and without hesitation, I headed straight for the bloody mouth and stabbed it in. Close your stinky mouth. Puff. With just one stick, it instantly opened the thread for Zhao Lingling's mouth. The blood, which had been finally stopped, surged again, splashing with blood foam. The whole person fell to the ground with their heads up, feeling nauseous in waves. Linchun's anger level is full. Seeing two enemies from the previous life fall into my own hands, I am naturally extremely excited. Bang! Kicking over the hospital bed in front of her, Zhao Lingling was so scared that she curled up in the corner like a chick, covered her mouth and burst into blood, unable to cry. Huang Sudong finally realized and was hit head-on by the overturned hospital bed. I spit out the pig's trotters directly from my mouth. Suddenly crying, my nose was mixed with blood and tears, all of which were covered in gauze on my face. I used my hands and feet to crawl towards the corner of the wall. Mom! Mom! Don't hit me! I dare not, I dare not. At this moment, the double critical strike had completely shattered his psychological defense line, and the spirited appearance of just speaking harshly with Zhao Lingling had long disappeared. I never expected to encounter such a plague god as Li Linchun. He just slandered this kid for sneaking a peek at the women's bathhouse. This kid wants his life. Li Linchun sneered, completely ignoring so much. After more than 20 years of hardship in his previous life, he watched helplessly as Huang Sudong, an old dog, took the title of a city's top teacher and retired with honor. Retirement benefits are all 18,000 yuan per month. Also became a rehired expert. Can I spare him myself? In this life, we not only have to kill him, but also make him completely unable to become a teacher. Kicking over the basin and thermos that was blocking the way, he stepped forward and grabbed Huang Sudong's collar, lifting his head up. Huang Lao Go, you really got kicked out of shit by me, right? Are you still hungry? Then let you eat enough. Li Linchun picked up the cane in his hand and suddenly stuffed it into Huang Sudong's mouth. Eat. 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 You his mother give me something to eat. Dong. 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 The crutch hit Huang Sudong's tightly closed front teeth, making a muffled sound that made people shiver. Huang Sudong gritted his teeth in pain and didn't dare to let go at all. Her hands and feet twitched like electric shock, struggling like killing a pig, wanting to cry without tears. Zhao Lingling crouched in the corner, just realizing something. I immediately heard the inhumane knocking sound, and my bones began to tremble. I was so scared that goosebumps fell to the ground, and my whole body completely collapsed. With a big mouth full of blood, he ran towards the door holding his head. Wah! Just at this moment, a group of people rushed towards the door, cheering and cheering. Li Linchun's father, Li Chang, was the first to bear the brunt. He looked through the glass of the hospital room door in fear as he watched his son violence with such a thick stick. Scared, he frantically twisted the door handle. Open the door. Open the door. Bang. Bang. The door handle followed his rotation and hit the chair against him repeatedly, unable to open the door at all. At the same time, Zhao Gang also rushed up with his wife. Seeing the terrifying appearance of Zhao Lingling's daughter running towards the door with blood in her mouth and crying, she was also instantly suffocated by fear. Push Li Chang away. Zhao Gang's eyes turned red as he frantically slammed into the door. Open the door. Little bastard, dare you touch your sister again and give it a try. I can't spare you. I want both of you surnamedly to get out of the Zhao family. Open the door. Open the door for me. Zhao Lingling has already been scared silly. At most, she is just a malicious female student. Playing some tricks and schemes makes you feel amazing. Where have you seen Li Linchun's crazy way of revenge? I was so scared that I completely forgot how to open the door. With a big mouth foaming with blood, he ran to the door and cried loudly to his parents outside through the glass window, banging on the door. Dad! Mom! Help me! Help me! When I saw my daughter with blood all over her mouth, she cried and shouted. Suddenly, Zhao Gang and Kai Jinfeng, who were outside the door, were heartbroken and anxious. A family of 3 screamed and cried through the window glass on the door. The group of people at the door were shouting and shouting loudly, which naturally caught Li Linchun's attention. Bang! Casually throwing aside Huang Sudong's plump head and big ears, which had already been dried with a stick and covered in blood, he gritted his teeth and turned around to walk straight to Zhao Lingling at the door. Cry. Don't eat, his mother cried louder. 20 years. A lifetime. I'll let you repay some interest today. Li Linchun gritted his teeth and whispered, holding the old man's bloody cane in his hand, walking step by step towards Zhao Lingling. The strong sense of oppression immediately frightened Zhao Lingling and she jumped up to knock on the door. Turning back in fear, screaming and crying. "Ah! Dad! Mom! Help me! Help me!" At the entrance, Zhao Gang saw Li Linchun's fierce expression and was already scared to the point where his face turned pale. He trembled and shouted at the door. "Big silly spring! What are you doing? Your father is a useless burden, and Lingling is the daughter of our Zhao family. If you dare to touch her, give her a try. You're useless. I warn you not to approach again." At this moment, Kai Jinfeng almost cried when she saw Li Linchun approaching step by step. Crying and pounding the glass window, frantically pointing towards the door handle. "Lingling! Open the door, Lingling! Open the door!" However, Zhao Lingling, who had already been scared out of her wits, couldn't free her brain to think at the moment and could only slap the door and cry loudly. "I can't even imagine the chair getting stuck on the door handle. Mom! Help me! Ah!" Bang! Before she could continue shouting, Li Linchun had already walked behind her and mercilessly grabbed her long hair, throwing it forcefully. Dong! Zhao Lingling fell to the ground with her head upside down. I was so stunned by the fall that even my brain and seeds were confused. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Li Linchun, who was like a devil, holding onto a bloody crutch with both hands and grinning fiercely as he looked down at her, raised high as if he was about to pierce through her head. This terrifying scene directly scared Zhao Lingling to pee. A shiver. I dripped urine directly under my buttocks, wetting a large area of the floor. Zhao Lingling was completely scared out of her wits at this moment, crying and shaking her head wildly, her hands swinging back and forth in the air. "Brother! Brother! I was wrong, brother! Brother! I was wrong! I was wrong! I dare not!" Chapter 7. I am your son, do you not believe me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stop it. I'm begging you, big nephew, please spare your sister. I'm on his mother knees. Zhao Chang watched as his daughter was about to have her head blown out, and his legs were instantly frightened and weak. He, who had been roaring all the way, couldn't even stand at this moment. A big old man, crying loudly. Lying on the door, begging for mercy. Of course, he knew his daughter's plan, which was simply calculated by the father and daughter. But the result shouldn't be like this. It should have been Li Linchun who admitted to the crime of peeping at the women's bathhouse and was expelled from school. He couldn't lift his head for the rest of his life. According to reason. At this moment, it should be that the father and daughter have already opened champagne to celebrate. Even more so, he could curse at the cumbersome useless Li Chang, making him dare not even lift his head. That's right. But now what the fuck is going on? Li Linchun, that silly kid who has always been as timid as his father. Why did you suddenly go crazy? Even the teacher dares to fight. Did he even beat up his daughter like this? That's not right. Li Linchun listened as her good uncle outside had already softened from crying. In his heart, he suddenly remembered the towering face he had when he arranged himself to carry large bags in a dyeing garment factory in the previous life. In front of everyone. Zhao Gang was even more outspoken in saying that his entire life was a life of working hard. Both father and daughter are not good things. He snorted coldly and clenched the stick in his hand. Zhao, don't cry so hypocritically. What's going on? You know better than anyone else in your heart. Since you're going to ruin my whole life, I won't let you go. Speak up. Who decided to slander me? I didn't say it, I stabbed you. Just as he was about to poke the stick down. Zhao Lingling was immediately frightened and screamed in agony. Brother! Grab the bloodstained crutch and fight to the death, crying loudly. Dad! Help me! With this "Dad" sound, Zhao Gang's legs went limp and he knelt down with a thud, kowtowing to Li Chang next to him. Li Gu. Brother-in-law. Brother Chang. I beg you, I beg you. Let your son release my daughter. It's all my fault, it's my fault. I admit it, can't I admit it yet? Li Chang suddenly knelt down when he saw his brother-in-law, who had always been strong and domineering towards him. Suddenly, he was also pleasantly surprised. Hurriedly clapped and knelt down for my brother-in-law, kowtowing with a clang. Uncle, you can't say that. It's all the fault of that little beast in my family. He's crazy. I'm sorry for you. I'll kneel down and apologize for you. I will definitely kill that little beast to compensate Lingling. They knelt down and kowtowed with a clang. The two wives were also dumbfounded, crying and rushing forward to pull. Li Linchun's biological mother Zhao Lan was also crying and slapping her own useless husband. Look at the rotten roots of your old Li family. Beat up my niece at least, I'll divorce you. Just at this moment. The little nurse has led several strong men from the security department to rush up to the third floor. As soon as they saw the scene at the door, the couple bowed. Nurses and security guards were also dumbfounded. Looking inside the door again, it had already been completely wiped out, in a mess. The nurse was so anxious that she clapped her legs and shouted loudly. Why did you two still worship each other? Hurry up and open the door to save people. Upon hearing these words, Kai Jinfeng and Zhao Lan quickly pulled their husband aside and made way for the door. Kai Jinfeng cried and called for help from the security guard. Please, open the door quickly. My daughter is about to be tormented to death by that little beast. Li Linchun saw the security guard coming and knew he didn't have much time. So he gave up the stick and kicked Zhao Lingling's proud logo on the face of the school flower. Great for relieving qi. Disfigured, that's also a lifetime. Kicking and yelling at the door, hating the iron for not turning into steel. Li Chang. You coward, what are you kneeling for him? I'm really your own son. Do you not believe me? Since I was born, who in the Zhao family has ever been nice to us? You can't be tough and be a loser all your life. If I don't help your son, are you still considered a father? Dead turtle man. Dong. Outside the door, two security guards with big arms and round waists rushed into the door with force. In an instant. The door is deformed and the glass is directly shattered. Li Chang heard his son's curses coming from the door, and his blood pressure surged with anger. Little beast. Dare to speak to your uncle like that. Your mother is also from the Zhao family. You must have caused trouble in school, as the school teachers have said. You were caught sneaking a peek at a female student taking a shower. How dare you hit the teacher? You. Little beast. Hurry up and let go of your cousin. Upon hearing these words, Li Linchun's heart turned to ashes and she nodded angrily. This cowardly son-in-law and father who abandoned his home, just like in his previous life, refused to admit that his son was wronged even in death. Keep protecting her daughter. Puff. Thinking of this, he mercilessly kicked Zhao Lingling's towering nose. Instantly disfigured her. Accompanied by Zhao Lingling's mournful screams, Li Linchun continued to curse loudly. Their father and daughter planned to ruin my life. Then I will also ruin her life. My mother is not a good thing either. She is surnamed Zhao. From beginning to end, has she looked up to you, the son-in-law who came to visit, and to me, the biological son. From childhood to adulthood, after receiving my salary, I bought food and clothing for Zhao Lingling. My family's savings were all given to her brother Zhao Gang. Has my mother bought me a whole outfit? Without my milk, I would have to grow up naked with no eggs. I'm sorry. No wonder my grandparents have severed ties with you, this useless son. Are you both husband and wife eligible to have children? I am your own son, and now I have been slandered by Zhao Lingling and her father and daughter. If you don't even ask, you can directly believe that I did it. From childhood to adulthood, have I ever done even one bad thing? Dong! With another loud bang, the two security guards smashed the hinges on the ward door into pieces. Shaking and crumbling. We're about to break through the door. Zhao Lan's nose twisted in anger as she listened to her son's obscene scolding. Jumping and cursing loudly. You little beast, you're an older brother. What are you arguing with your sister about? Why should I give the money I earned to you two outsiders? Your father is just a married son.in.law, and Lingling is the child of the Zhao family, even more so than my own. If I die in the future, the inheritance will also belong to your sister. Don't expect a penny. You bastard, Lingling is so well behaved and sensible, how could she possibly slander you? Look at me going in and not peeling your skin. I want you to kneel and apologize to your uncle. Zhao Lingling has been kicked countless times on her face at this moment, and her crying voice has been split, making her hoarse and unpleasant to listen to. Dad! Mom! Help me! Li Linchun listened to her parents speak in a manner that was identical to the previous life. It is also a complete abandonment of hope for them. With a cold snort as he gritted his teeth, he looked at Zhao Lingling under his feet. Then don't blame me. You have to spend your whole life repaying it, it's not even a day away. Immediately lift your foot up and kick it again. Dong! The door of the ward was suddenly smashed open by two security guards, and the crowd rushed towards him in an instant, flying him out and pressing him to the ground. Li Linchun's hands and feet were instantly controlled, and even his wild struggle was of no use. The chaotic commotion instantly echoed throughout the entire ward. Hold it down. Hold it down. Lingling. Dad. Mom. I want this little beast to pay the price. Fire him. Make sure the school fires him. Li Chang. Look at your bastard son, they are all the bad roots of your old Li family. Li Linchun was pressed to the ground and shouted unwillingly. Ah! Those surnamed Zhao, even if they are expelled from school, I won't let you go. One day, I will make you pay the price. Chapter 8. If your parents don't trust you, then cut off the relationship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hospital reception room. The crowd is moving. Li Linchun was pressed down on the chair with the bed sheets tied up in various ways, and her hands were tied to the back of the chair, unable to move at all. Nevertheless, he still refused to be humiliated and struggled with gritted teeth. Damn it! Dead turtle man! Voldemort! I am your own son, so you don't believe me. Then what the hell did you give birth to me? What are you doing? You guys are enjoying yourself, right? Believe me, find someone to investigate. Is it so damn difficult just for his mother? Listening to Li Linchun's angry roar, which had accumulated 20 years of resentment, made the few present sound like magic in their ears, and their souls were questioned. Bang! Bang! The chair bound to Li Linchun made a thumping sound as he struggled violently, as if he was about to break free in the next second. Li Chang was so angry that he trembled all over, especially under the gaze of everyone, his face completely lost. My whole body was full of cowardly energy, as if I could finally show off my son in this moment, and I walked up angrily. You little beast! Look at me, I won't beat you to death. He just raised his palm and walked forward, pretending to throw it hard. Li Linchun widened his eyes and looked at him like a mad dog gritting its teeth. Come on. Strike me. Kill me. Look at how you, a coward, have vented your frustrations on your own son after suffering from more than 20 years of low voice in the Zhao family. From childhood to adulthood, in addition to beating me, do you dare to make a face with the Zhao family? It's a man, why did you just kill me? Come on. Li Linchun's wild roar instantly frightened Li Chang, causing his eyes to tremble and his face to turn pale. Dang dang dang. In an instant, I was frightened by my own son's aura and took several steps back. A look of disdain instantly appeared on the faces of the people around. Li Chang instantly blushed even more, gritted his teeth and spat, muttering in a low voice. Trembling, but afraid to step forward again. This little beast is talking nonsense. He's crazy, he must be crazy. At this moment, Xiaolan couldn't help but dislike her husband's cowardice and rushed forward to slap Li Linchun in the face. His gaze was fierce, not like that of his own mother. Little beast, I made you. Ouch. Hey. Let go. Let go. Ah. Release it. She slapped her, and just as she hit Li Linchun's face, she was suddenly bitten directly by Li Linchun's probe into the softest part of her palm. Blood came out in an instant. A pig-like scream erupted on the spot, making those who listened tremble with fear. Goosebumps shake the ground. Li Linchun gritted his teeth and exerted tremendous force. The resentment of being despised and driven away by Voldemort's mother for more than 20 years in the previous life is all bestowed upon his hard teeth. Even if the people rushing up slap and push, they won't let go. A low growl emanated from the throat, and bloodshot eyes glared out. Mm. Seeing this scene, Principal Wang Delu, who hurriedly arrived from school, was also so angry that he cried for his father and shouted for his mother. He hurriedly ordered several teachers to come forward and help. Hurriedly stomping his feet. Pull him apart. Pull him apart. Pry his mouth. Pinch his cheeks. Pinch your nose. Pinch your nose and he'll let go. At this moment, Xiaolan felt a piercing pain in her palm, crying and howling, stomping her feet and patting her thighs. Ah! How did this little beast become a dog? I'm your mother. You dare to bite me? Ah! On the side, Li Chang was even more panicked. Watching his wife's bloody palms being bitten, he was even more frightened and his legs and stomach twisted. Even those who are in a hurry dare not step forward. I can only desperately command those helpful teachers. Quickly pull them apart. Crazy, crazy. This little beast is crazy. Li Linchun was full of anger and didn't care at all about those people pinching their faces and blocking their noses, biting into the flesh of Zhao Lan's hand. Tears mixed in my eyes, filled with resentment. He's holding back. This is his biological mother. That's his own father. From beginning to end, they didn't have any doubts, they all listened to that Zhao Lingling and didn't trust him at all. In this life, he doesn't need to explain anymore. I have experienced it all firsthand in my previous life, and no one is willing to care about the truth of things. In my previous life, I was expelled from school and knelt in front of them crying to clarify that I was not a voyeur. Please ask them to keep their academic records and allow themselves to take the college entrance examination. However, these so-called biological parents refused to believe his own son's words at all. The hardline student united with the school and processed his dismissal procedures. Even more so, he was expelled from school. Make him unable to take the college entrance examination. Parents became direct accomplices and ruined their entire lives. This doesn't even count. Li Linchun's mind constantly conjures up memories of the hardships he endured in his previous life as a migrant worker. Because she has been spreading rumors around by her younger sister Zhao Lingling, she often gets fired and cannot afford to rent a house for years. Even eating is a problem. But these parents would rather give Zhao Lingling their lifelong salary and savings from working in the system to travel and buy luxury goods. I also don't want to give his own son any money to eat. At home, there is even no room for him. Lock the door during the Chinese New Year and prevent him from entering. Watching him wandering on the streets, I still have to step on a sentence to sever the mother-son relationship and never interact with him for a lifetime. Li Linchun didn't know what she had done wrong. Born into such a family. Why do parents in the previous life prefer to trust a niece rather than themselves? I have never had to worry about my studies and have never been mischievous since I was young. Since he was young, no one in this family has been doting on him as a son-in-law's son, and he has lived very cautiously. If something happens, even his parents don't trust him. Revenge from the previous life. In this life, he must repay. No one can expect him to forgive. Linchun was pinched by his nose and resisted for a few minutes, but still suffocated and had difficulty breathing. I had to spit out Zhao Lan's palm flesh. Bah! Linchun looked at Zhao Lan, who was crying and falling into Li Chang's arms while holding her palm. Directly disgusted and spat out a mouthful of blood foam. With a flick of his head, he fiercely shook off the teachers who came up to pinch his face and nose, took a few bites into the air, and scared everyone away. Get out of here. After speaking, without waiting for his own parents to speak, he stared at them with complete indifference and righteousness. I cursed out loud. Zhao Lan, Li Chang. Since you don't even believe in your own son and only believe in Zhao Lan, let's cut off the father-son relationship and the mother-son relationship today. Throughout my life, I will never interact with you until death. I don't need you to worry about my life, whether it's good or bad. Just pretend you never gave birth to me. With these words spoken, Zhao Lan, who was crying, had tears on her face and a cold sweat as big as beans on her forehead. Still not forgetting to curse fiercely and crazily. Little beast. It's all spoiled by your old and immortal grandparents. Let your Li family's dirty things invade our Zhao family and ruin our Zhao family's reputation. If you don't want to have your surname Zhao, you insist on having your surname Li. Since I was young, I have seen that you are not as obedient and sensible as your sister Lingling. Now you have indeed exposed the bad roots of your old Li family, right? I'll just pretend I never gave birth to you. Bang! As soon as the words fell, someone kicked the door of the reception room open. Zhao Gang gritted his teeth and walked in with a fierce expression. Behind him were his daughter Zhao Lingling, who had just gone to bandage her entire head, and his wife Kai Jinfeng, who was full of resentment. The family of three came in a fierce manner. Have you never given birth? I'm sorry. Today, if I don't call the police and put this little beast in prison, I won't be called Zhao. As he spoke, Zhao Gang angrily turned his head and picked up the ceramic flower pot on the table next to him, shouting and walking towards Li Linchun, who was bound. I will avenge my daughter first. Chapter 9. Alarm. If you don't report it to the police, I will report it too. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhao Gang glared angrily. Principal Wang Delu and a group of teachers rushed forward in an instant, quickly stopping his hand that lifted the flower pot. Panic persuasion. Hey, Zhao Lingling's dad, calm down. Not so much as not. Call the police, just handle the alarm, you can't learn from him. You still have Lingling to take care of, think of your daughter. This doesn't work, it's going to kill people. Zhao Gang was stopped by someone, and in an instant, he was filled with anger and frustration. The old man directly put on a crying tone. He gritted his teeth and roared angrily at the group of people in front of him. His mother, you have long hands now, ah. When my daughter was beaten up, where did you guys die? How come no one stopped you? Grass. Don't his mother stop me. I insist on killing this little beast today. He made a mess of my daughter's appearance, you know. How will my daughter meet people and get married in the future? Get away from me. With this shout, Zhao Lingling, whose head was wrapped in gauze and looked like a pig's head, burst into tears, soaking the gauze. The whole person seems to have the top spirit on their body. Crazy twisting of the body, crying and howling. Dad. I want him to pay the price. Alarm. Report to the police and take him to jail. Kai Jinfeng looked at her daughter being beaten up and dressed up in such a forced manner. Tears of heartache were also falling down with a patter. With a sharp and unreasonable expression on his face, he stared fixedly at the Principal Wang Delu. Principal Wang. My daughter was beaten up like this, what do you say? Dismissal. This kind of student must be expelled from school. We still need to report to the police. We must bring him to justice and send him to jail. Death penalty. I want him to be executed. Killing him is not enough to avenge my daughter. As she spoke, she hugged Zhao Lingling with even more heartache. My daughter has a good school face and she is going to attend a key university and marry a foreign banker in the future. They were all destroyed by this little beast. I must have him executed. Wang Delu looked at Zhao Lingling's family of 3 who were causing a fierce commotion, and his head grew big and his brows furrowed. Just as he was in a state of anxiety. Bang! The door of the reception room was once again knocked open by someone. The noisy crowd instinctively turned around to look at the door. Huang Sudong's entire head was wrapped in gauze, like that mummy, stumbling and crashing into everyone's view. The blue checkered polo shirt on the body is bloodstained. The suit pants on the lower body are even more drooping at the waist, and the more disheveled it is, the more disheveled it is. The blood in the mouth and nose is twice exhaled with force-penetrating gauze. My 2 eyes were even wet with tears, and the gauze on my entire face was dyed pale red with tears. In front of everyone, a heart-wrenching cry was heard. A thug pounced in front of the principal, hugging his calf. Principal. I'm injured at work. Alarm. The police arrested this little beast, we must expel him from school. I am more unjust than Zhao Lingling's classmate. I'm so miserable. Bang! Suddenly, a loud noise scared Huang Sudong and Zhao Lingling's cries to a sudden halt. Only see. Zhao Gang gritted his teeth and smashed the flower pot in his hand to pieces on the floor. Pointing at Linchun who was tied to the chair, he cursed loudly. Alarm! I want this little beast to be sentenced. Once this statement is made, everyone's gaze immediately fell on Linchun again. At this moment, there are still blood stains on the corners of Linchun's mouth that have not dried up. Staring directly at Zhao Gang with disdain on his face, he slowly spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva, directly onto his suit pants. Pooh! Report to the police. Report to the police. Now his mother call the police. If you don't report, I will also report to the police. Nurse. Call the police. Call the police. Linchun suddenly went crazy and shouted, causing everyone present to tremble with fear. Everyone's faces are bewildered. He shouted nonsense. Zhao Gang was even dumbfounded. Why did he even call the police? Your face. I don't even want my face anymore. Suddenly, he was so angry that he spoke incoherently, his hands and feet trembling. He trembled and pointed at Linchun, nodding wildly. Report, report, report. Linchun disdainfully snorted when he saw his stuttering expression in anger. Call the police and arrest you and your daughter first. Don't believe it. You and your daughter Zhao Lingling have framed me, publicly slandered my reputation, spent money to bribe 4 female students to provide false evidence, and accused me of secretly watching them take a shower. Don't you know about this? Zhao Lingling. Suddenly, with a roar, Zhao Lingling, whose name was called out, was so frightened that she trembled physiologically. She crawled into her mother's arms in fear and was instantly scared to tears. Linchun, however, was infuriated and looked directly at her with a sneer. 2 days before I was about to die in my previous life, I went to the market to buy some good food to take me away. As a result, she encountered Zhu Qianshan, who had failed the college entrance examination and had been selling vegetables in the market for 20 years. This female classmate is one of his lifelong accomplices in slandering him. Perhaps it was seeing Linchun in his 40s looking haggard and critically ill, Zhu Qianshan's conscience was condemned, and she had been in a state of lifelong fear and anxiety, finally revealing all the facts of the past. Let Li Linchun die and become a clear ghost. Now he has been reborn. I have long known about all the activities of Zhao Lingling, everyone's leverage, and I can use it as a revenge blade to stab this dog. Alarm! Look who's afraid of who. Li Linchun shouted at Zhao Lingling by name without reservation. Zhao Lianhua. Do you want to catch Zhu Qianqian from class 3 and confront her face-to-face? She just broke your imported pen, worth over 1,000 yuan, and you used it as a leverage to blackmail her into identifying me. But that day, she didn't even go to take a shower. Should I find a witness to see who lied? As soon as she said this, Zhao Lingling was instantly frightened and her eyes widened in fear. I can't figure it out at all. This is clearly a secret between her and Zhu Qianqian, how could Li Linchun know? Have all my witnesses been exposed? Thinking of this, Zhao Lingling, who still had no strong psychological qualities, broke through her defense and instinctively looked at Li Linchun, shaking her head wildly. No. It's impossible. No. How dare she tell you? Zhu Qianqian, she dares to go back and forth. She's not afraid of me asking her for compensation with a pen. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Gang's face suddenly changed. It's like eating a bunch of shit and still sticking to your teeth, and the momentum just now was completely extinguished. My gaze was flickering, completely not calm. I can only force Li Linchun to shut up. You make up. He hasn't finished speaking yet. Li Linchun directly sneered, with blood-stained teeth and a ferocious appearance. Am I making up a story? So Zhu Qianqian is fake, and there are also Lu Shi from class 3 and Zhang Rong from class 2. They came out to provide false evidence. What leverage is in your daughter's hands? Do you want me to explain it clearly in front of everyone? As soon as their names were exposed, Zhao Gang and his daughter immediately became panicked. Hurriedly waved his hand, trying to stop Li Linchun from exposing all the dark scenes. However, everything is too late. Li Linchun suddenly raised his throat, using the highest voice of his life, the loudest voice. Shouted to everyone. The entire hospital can be heard clearly from top to bottom. Even if you give your daughter 300 yuan. Let her bribe her classmates. Come out and use fake evidence. Do you want me to speak out loud about this matter? Do you want it? 300 yuan. Defamation of my lifelong reputation. The police are here, are you arresting me? Or am I going to die with your daughter? I'm asking you. Do you want me to say it? Are you mute? My good uncle. Chapter 10. Shoo, don't shout. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shoo. Don't shout so much. How can your sister be a good person? Zhao Gang was still in a fierce and furious state a second ago. But as soon as Li Linchun uttered this explosive magic sound, he was instantly frightened and sweated profusely, soaking his pants and pockets with sweat. Hurriedly wanted to come forward and cover his mouth. When Li Linchun saw him coming over, he was immediately bitten by a mad dog, and his 2 rows of blood-stained big teeth were fiercely bitten down. Click. Click. Come on. Give your siblings a bite and come out. Your daughter is afraid she won't be able to be a good person in the future. Do I want to be a good person now? Ah. I asked you, his mother. Grass. Come here, I'll bite you to death. Call the police. Call the police. Seeing Zhao Gang scared and hesitant to come over, Li Linchun once again shouted at the top of his throat. This injustice cannot be endured for a second. Nurse. You are fucking deaf. Alarm. Call the police. He let out a crazy shout, from passive to active. In an instant, I made everyone present feel numb and scared. He's the one who hit people. Where did you come from with such crazy confidence? Zhao Lingling listened to Li Linchun's wild shout and thought that after the plan was exposed, she would have no face in life. Classmate, teacher. How do you look at yourself? A scheming woman who spreads rumors and slanders her cousin. She is a gentle and pure school flower. No way. Absolutely not. The terrifying consequences made Zhao Lingling cry uncontrollably and lose control. He kept pulling his own mother Kai Jinfeng and jumping. Don't shout. Don't let him shout. Nurse. You can't call the police. Dad. You can't call the police. You can't call the police. I still want to be a person. Ah. He's just a lunatic. How could he be so crazy? How could he know everything? I'm going crazy too. Don't let him shout anymore. As soon as she said this, Zhao Lan beside her looked dumbfounded. My eyes trembled, full of disbelief. Shocked as he looked at his own younger brother and niece whom he had been protecting, he couldn't believe it at all. I just protected Zhao Lingling so much and was bitten open in the palm by my own son. As a result, I really wronged my own son. Or did my younger brother and niece and daughter spend money to plan it? She was so angry that she rushed forward crying, trembling and reaching out to point at Zhao Lingling, who was about to be driven crazy and hiding in Kai Jinfeng's arms. You. Kai Jinfeng's face turned pale with fear, and he quickly hugged his daughter, repeatedly dissuading Zhao Lan who was furious. Sister. Sister, don't scare the child. She's still young. Zhao Lan was instantly so angry that she burst into tears, wailing and cursing at her own younger brother. How could you, father and daughter, really be ruthless in harming my son's reputation for the rest of his life? Even if he is a useless person, even if he doesn't have the surname Zhao. That was also born to me. My surname is Zhao. I am your sister. You guys. I've spent 70,000 to 80,000 yuan on your salary over the years. I've been spending my heart and soul on you. You. In the face of Zhao Lan's pointing, she cried with broken heart. Zhao Gang's face turned pale with a guilty conscience, and he quickly turned around to protect his wife and children, his gaze wandering and afraid to look at his sister. I stuttered and couldn't come up with a reason. That's also for the sake of the Zhao family. Who made your cumbersome and useless son even get into the top 10 of his grade? He looks like he's good enough to attend Tsinghua and Peking University. He's going to soar to fame in the future. What should my daughter do? I can't let a useless son who enters the Zhao family be more powerful than my daughter. Sister, you, as a daughter, are destined not to pass on the family line to our Zhao family. But my daughter is different. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Lan almost lost her temper on the spot. Fortunately, Li Chang behind him quickly stepped forward to assist. She finally took a breath and cried out in disbelief. His mother-daughter is different from yours. I am also the daughter of the Zhao family. I am her own aunt. For so many years, I'll give whatever you want. As a sister, my husband and son don't care, and I want to make your family better. I treat Lingling as if I were my own. She is the bloodline of the Zhao family, and as an aunt, I am even closer than her own mother. How could you father and daughter deceive me so much and harm me so much? Just as she was tearing her heart and lungs apart, Li Chang behind her looked disheveled and repeatedly advised. Forget it, it's already like this. Forget it. Pop. Zhao Lan was furious and slapped Li Chang in the face with her backhand. The crisp sound rang through the entire floor. The principal and teachers of No. 1 middle school who were watching in person were also frightened and trembled, as if they had all been slapped hard. Subconsciously retreat and stay away from this strange family. Zhao Lan looked at Li Chang and shouted angrily. You useless loser. At this point, you can still calculate. Get out. The pain of being betrayed by her younger brother's family, heart-wrenching, seemed to completely destroy the faith pillar that Zhao Lan had always adhered to. I completely collapsed. Zhao Gang looked at his daughter, who was scared to cry at the moment, and immediately frowned and complained, muttering softly. "Well, we won't call the police anymore. Even if we're unlucky. Sister, as for you, aren't you just letting your son suffer some injustice? Don't you also dislike this son who doesn't have your surname? I'm helping you." After speaking, as Zhao Lan was about to erupt, Linchun continued to shout like a mad dog. Zhao Gang quickly protected his wife and daughter and squeezed out from the crowd. The family hurriedly fled the scene in a disheveled manner. I dare not mention the matter of reporting to the police again, for fear of causing trouble and damaging my daughter's reputation. Injuries from being beaten can be healed, but it's not a big deal for plastic surgery. But the reputation is ruined, it's a lifelong thing, they dare not take risks. Zhao Lan fell directly to the ground upon seeing the situation. Wailing and crying in grievances. Li Chang was dizzy and disoriented by his wife's slap just now, and he also felt a sense of fear and dared not approach. I can only sit by and watch my wife cry. Looking at his son Li Linchun's expression, it became even more complicated. Both sides are not pleasing. Li Linchun saw the culprit running away and spat heavily at the door. "I pooh. Tell you, surnamed Zhao, you can run away, the monk can't run away from the temple. I haven't finished with your daughter in this lifetime. I'm not finished with you either." After speaking, I glanced at my parents who were lying on the ground crying, with only hatred and disgust in their eyes. Directly shouted at the nearest principal, Wang Delu, with staring eyes. "Unbind it. Blind. Get rid of me and waste time here with you. I'll spend tens of billions of dollars every minute, you know what. Hurry up and untie it for me." Wang Delu has not yet reacted from the ethical drama of the family just now. Suddenly, he was scolded by Li Linchun, covering his head and face. Suddenly, there was another myocardial infarction, and I covered my chest and began to tremble. I completely dare not provoke this crazy person. Oh. Hurry up, let this mental illness go and make him leave quickly. I can't accommodate this great Buddha in Ijong. Open, dismiss. The words fell to the ground, and the two teachers, who were still in a daze, suddenly realized and hurriedly came forward to untie Li Linchun. Quickly unraveled the knot. Li Linchun moved his wrist, which was tied back, shook his neck, and stood up. Glancing down at the people present with gritted teeth. One by one, they are all accomplices who slandered him in the previous life. One by one. We must remember the faces of these useless teachers, and when we get rich, we will retaliate one by one. Just about to take a step outside. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a pig's head sneaking behind Principal Wang Delu. Suddenly, my nerves twitched. Directly turned around and rushed towards him. "Huang Sudong, the grass mud horse. You're still alive. Die for me." Huang Sudong originally thought that by staying out of the situation and avoiding it, he could be safe and escape unharmed. Perhaps I just forgot about him. I never expected it. Just showing my head, I was directly locked in. Instantly frightened, he let out a scream and grabbed the principal's belt, shouting like a pig. "Principal!